Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another wonderful installment of Scribbly Adapted. This is not your normal Scribbly Adapted. We are on video now. I'm Keode Howard. I'm one of your hosts, and followed by
Kate Knowles. How are you guys? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year's, guys. It's 2013, and we're back with new installments, new shows, a new format. You know, we picked a film that we saw a while back. That's sort of it's getting buzz. It's getting some Oscar buzz and nominated for a couple of Golden Globes. We're doing Hitchcock. So let's get into it.
Basically, it's not your average film about Hitchcock or about the makings of his different movies. It's about his marriage to his wife Alma Reville, who's played by Helen Mirren, during the making of Psycho. And it's an interesting twist, the way the director takes it. And this is and I'll get into that a little bit later, it's one of the things that I really liked about the movie is the sense of irony. Because it's, he's showcasing his marriage to Alma, but at the same time, he's telling how Hitchcock has kind of become obsessed with his female leads, and you have to also look at the content of Psycho itself. If any of you have not seen Psycho, it's pretty much to give you a brief synopsis on that. It's just about this guy who's obsessed with women and goes into a killing rampage, but whatever. So
pretty much.
The point is about Hitchcock is it's really about Hitchcock is not in his prime yet. His career is kind of on the cusp of failing. He's had a couple of films that haven't really hit it big, and he's looking to make this film that really is a film that will stand the test of time, which Psycho actually really did.
Psycho did stand the test of time.
And Psycho, the film is his trying to convince studios to give him the backing for such a film. And you said that this was also his really kind of initiation into suspense and
it was his initiation into suspense and touched upon, I guess, the slasher film.
Right.
Right. That's what Psycho was, yeah.
And the basic synopsis of Hitchcock is how he takes his obsession with his leading ladies and kind of neglects his wife, Alma, even though she's, his right-hand woman. She's writing for him. She was a writer.
She produced with him.
Yeah, so it was kind of like him kind of ignoring her because he was delving so much into a movie that could essentially save his career or get it jump-started.
And I think also his obsession with his leading ladies helped him convey that into his main character, which was Norman Bates.
Right.
Because Norman Bates, of course, had an obsession, if you haven't seen it, he had an obsession with the women that came into his life via hotel, the motel that he was manager of, and also his obsession with his mother. So you see that with Alfred Hitchcock, played by Anthony Hopkins, we'll get to that later, and you see that in the movie where Anthony is obsessed with the leading ladies. He sort of it's almost a sense of voyeurism where he's looking through, he's looking in the movie, he's looking through peepholes.
And that's how, when we watched Psycho after we saw Hitchcock, that's what Norman Bates does. Throughout the movie, he starts to develop this psychological relationship with Ed Gaines, who was a real-life psychotic killer that not only Norman Bates was based off of, but for a little trivia, also a lot of other characters being...
you had Hannibal Lecter. And also Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre series.
Right.
Ed Gein pretty much was every one of those characters in a nutshell.
And then also you have a little side story. I mean, it's not really a side story, but it kind of ties in about how Alma, who's feeling neglected emotionally and sexually, and, from her husband, she goes in search of having that appreciation from another individual by the name of Whitfield Cook, and they kind of develop this writing relationship, and he's not really interested in her, but she's kind of created this fantasy that she's looking for from her husband Alfred. The plot isn't too simple. It's very complex because there are a lot of different factors, which is why I like it.
We're going to focus on a specific part of the film that we will give our opinions on, and this part is the acting on the film, obviously. Because there are some great performances by some great actors and actresses. Some won Oscars, some possible soon-to-be Oscar winners, maybe. And the acting, I felt, was very good. It was solid. Anthony Hopkins, who plays Alfred Hitchcock, I believe, was Anthony Hopkins at his best. I think he did a great job capturing the voice
Right.
the mannerisms of Alfred Hitchcock. I feel, well, I've read a lot of and heard a lot of other critics say that it was okay. It was mediocre.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't really capture the essence of Hitchcock, but you appreciated that the Hitchcock that Anthony Hopkins was portraying.
Right. It was not a performance of a lifetime, and I don't think it was
definitely not the performance of a lifetime, but I would say it was a good enough performance to be recognized. I've seen Hitchcock interviews. I've seen Hitchcock videos of him speaking, and I feel like Anthony did a great job. I think he was the perfect choice.
Mm-hmm.
I think he did Hitchcock justice. I feel like he had the voice down, the mannerisms, and I enjoyed him. I also enjoyed Helen Mirren, who plays Alma Revel, his wife. I think Helen is phenomenal.
Right.
She just has a sense of emotion and feeling that comes through the screen, and you understand it,
absolutely.
You feel it.
I agree with that.
And I appreciated her performance in this. I enjoyed Scarlett Johansson to an extent. She had the look, but I feel like she didn't give enough of Janet Leigh. And I've seen the original Psycho, and when I watched Janet Leigh in Psycho and watched Scarlett, I visualize it aesthetically, but not emotionally. I wasn't invested. I didn't care for her character that much. I mean, or her portrayal of Janet Leigh that much. So it was, I don't know, I was on the fence with Scarlett. What do you think?
In terms of Scarlett Johansson, I actually think it was her best role. She's not that bad. I've never actually really disliked her acting style, but I agree with you because I wasn't fully emotionally invested. Jessica Biel invested me more than Scarlett Johansson.
And Jessica Biel played Vera Mills, who was also a huge Hollywood actress at that time.
I think the acting really was damn good. My personal favorite, and she's kind of like Meryl Streep in the sense that she's a chameleon, is Helen Mirren. She acts brilliantly in everything she does. I have never seen a bad performance by Helen Mirren ever. I mean, she was brilliant in this movie, and the scene where she's telling Alfred Hitchcock off is by far the most explosive scene in the entire movie, and one of my favorites. I think if anyone should get an award for their performance, it would be Helen Mirren.
Okay, well,
she blew me away.
I definitely think Anthony should get a recognition, maybe not win the award,
right?
But definitely
nomination would
definitely recognized for a nomination. Maybe maybe a Golden Globe or maybe a Screen Actors, something like that. Maybe, but not the Oscar. I must bring up an actor who did amazing to me, portraying Anthony Perkins at his best. I mean, he physically,
he was uncanny.
The actor's name is James D'Arcy. I hope I said that name right. But James D'Arcy, I don't really know anything else that he's been in. I don't recognize him. But I feel he did an amazing job as Anthony Perkins. Voice, the timid, shy Anthony Perkins that we know of in Hollywood was this guy. Like, he portrayed him to the T.
Yeah, he was brilliant. Brilliant casting.
Brilliant casting. And if you haven't seen it, definitely look out for Anthony Perkins, played by James D'Arcy. Excellent. So listen, likes and dislikes.
Right. Well,
Kate, what do you think?
I loved, and I mentioned this briefly, I loved the irony in the film. The irony that there was just so much going on that it was kind of like the irony that Hitchcock was so obsessed with his leading ladies, but yet he couldn't devote that to his wife. And there's one scene where she finds all these pictures of the potential leading ladies that Hitchcock did not hire.
Right.
And he has them on his desk, and obviously it's like, well, what need does he have for these anymore? Because he hired Janet Leigh. And she's looking through them, and she realizes that he's really so invested that he's come to neglect her, and she takes off one earring. It was just classic irony at its best. She takes off her earring and she puts it on the pile of all the photos. She neatly stacks it up and puts it in the center of his desk so that when he walks in, he can see what he's doing. Yeah. And when he does walk in and he realizes, oh crap, she's noticed. Yeah. And
I've been caught.
To me, and to me, that was the most brilliant part of the movie.
One of my huge likes was the music.
The music was phenomenal. And
done by Danny Elfman, by the way, who is one of my favorite my favorite composer in film. It was a real subtle score, nothing dramatic like Batman or Spider-Man or the Hulk. Yeah. But very, low key, violins and a couple, you had a couple of exciting pops which was during the filming of Hitchcock. I mean, of Psycho in Hitchcock. That's where you got some of the huge pops of the score. But other than that, it was very subtle,
Right.
and I enjoyed it. I love this. That's my huge like.
With the music, my main part that I actually really loved was one of the last scenes. You have Anthony Hopkins, Hitchcock, standing outside the theater, and it's the screening of the film. And
great scene,
now,
by the way.
they said, interesting trivia for those of you who don't know, when Hitchcock went to the studios to have Psycho approved to get the budget, and also he was told that a certain score wasn't going to make the difference during the infamous shower scene.
Bernard Herrmann.
Now, obviously, we all know that if you're just watching a shower scene, you're like, ugh. But with the music, it makes it 10 times more suspenseful.
Right.
And so initially, Hitchcock was right. So you have him standing outside the theater, and he's kind of acting as though he's an orchestra conductor. And as the music's going, he's waiting for the gasp of the audience. And each time he strikes his hand and the music hits a certain note, you hear the audience go, oh! And, oh! Like, that was unbelievable. To me, that was the best part of the entire film.
Great scene.
It was my favorite.
You got to see personality in Alfred. And also you had to see his happiness, his triumph.
Yeah.
He made this film. It was successful. The studio doubted him, and he had the audience.
Right.
And that's when you know as a director, when you have an audience, is when you can stand outside and you can hear the cheers or the sighs or anything of emotion from the audience.
Because you've told your story the right way.
It was one of those things. It was just nostalgic. I don't know. It sort of brought me back. It was like, oh wow, it's Hitchcock.